Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? I hope you're doing well. It is June the 2nd, a Friday. Happy birthday if it's your birthday. It's been a while. I know. It's been probably a month since I posted. And as you can see from the title, this is a little bit of an update. I told you that I would when I could. This is not quite finished, but I just feel bad that I have not posted in such a long time. I did make a community post, a little bit of what was going on, and the neighbor situation is just taking its toll on me. A little bit going back, as I don't think I even talked about it, but at the beginning of May, we got our front window kicked out by a deranged teenage girl. I guess she thought I know she was at the wrong house because she kept wanting to fight. And I think when we didn't engage, but we were looking out the window kind of like, what is going on? What is happening? She saw us doing that, and I guess, I'm only 5 foot tall, so she might have thought that I was who she was looking for. I don't even know, but she came up when we didn't engage, and she kicked out our front window. Luckily, it's a double pane, so one pane is still there. So we have to get that replaced, but we cannot do that yet because of the neighbor situation. On my TikTok, I explained what happened, that, we told them the hill is ours, and then she proceeds to try to tell us that, just to 4 foot of our house is her property and all this crazy mess. And we had our house built from the ground up. We had the fence put in before we even moved in. The contractor was here, so the property lines were very visible. So we know our fence is within our property line. The problem is the hill is not fenced in. It's the side part of the house. And in our HOA, you cannot put a fence there. You can put shrubs and stuff. And I tried to put shrubs when we first moved in, but either they didn't get enough sunlight or I didn't water them enough. And water does stand over on that side of the house. And so they could have gotten too much water, but they just didn't survive. Only one bush, the bush that I have now that is huge, is the only one that had really taken off. I had planted actually 2, and one of them ended up dying. Again, I think because too much water stood there. So it just got too much water, which, could happen to a plant if they get too much water. But we've never had an issue with any of our neighbors that has moved in. The 2 that own it, and then the last owner rented it out for a few years, never had an issue with them. We do have a landscaping company that does landscaping for the HOA. That's what our dues go towards. He would always cut it because he knew that was our property. Well, we did not know that when they first moved in and he went to do that. She told him to stop because that's their property, and he was like, no, this is theirs. And she was just like, no, it's not. And he didn't want to argue with her. It's not his place. So he was just like, whatever, fine. I wish he would have told us, but then it would have happened 2 years ago. All of this would have been 2 years ago. But Barry wanted to talk to them, but I just knew that they would not be receptive to it. And I'm like, what's the harm really? But now I've learned. There's things that I've learned along this journey. One is to never let anybody butt up against your fence. I will never, ever do that again. Luckily, like I said, their yard isn't fenced in anymore, but our other neighbor's is. So he could technically be like, oh, this 1 foot of your property is now mine because it's been fenced in. And, but he's, not going to be that way, but he could sell his house and the new people could come in and do that, which is fine. I don't care, whatever. If you want to pay the taxes on it, I don't care. But this has made me learn a lot, and I will never let another neighbor butt in on my fence, ever. And it has nothing to do with them. It's just this experience that I've had with this person. So after the Hill situation, and we tried to explain, we sent them a certified letter with documentation from the county to let them know where the it was a plat and an aerial view from the county letting them know where our lines were. She sent it back. They did open it and looked at it though, but she sent it back. And so when I let Roxy out, it was last week, and I could hear and I'm like, what is going on? And I look, and she's cutting my bush down. So here I go again. So I was like, can you please stop cutting my bush? And she's like, this is not your tree. I said, yes, it is. She's like, you didn't plant it. I said, yes, I did plant the bush. So then she quit. And then I was just like, why do you think your property comes down as far as you think it does? And she was like, I went and talked to the county engineer for an hour. And I was like, okay. And I just knew at this point to not even argue with her. And then she was like, yeah, your property veers off. So 10 foot of the back of your property is ours. And I'm like, I didn't say a word. Because my property, it shows it on the plat, and we knew it from the get-go. It is straight. Both sides are just straight. It's literally a rectangle. There's no flare. Other yards do have a little bit of a flare here and there, like either at the front or in the back for some reason. I don't know. It's just the way that they platted out this land. But ours is totally straight. And her side, like this is, our side is straight, but this side of hers does flare, like the last 5 feet flare out like 10 foot or so. So that side flares, not this side. And this side too has the water meter, her neighbor's water meter, in her property, whereas her water meter is on our property. That is just the way it was done, but it's in the easement that the county owns, so I guess they didn't care about that. But I'm like, you cannot go by the meter because that's not the line. But she was so adamant, and I'm telling you, the gaslighting has been unreal with this lady. Unreal. So I didn't argue with her. I didn't say anything because I just, I'm not going to sit and argue with somebody mentally unstable. It's just not going to happen. And after talking with her or trying to speak with her, she will not let you speak. It's very evident something is not right. So I call Barry, tell him that she's cutting down my bush. And he was like, call the police. And I really did not want to do that because they have other crap they need to be dealing with. So then I called the previous owner because, we have our number. We were really good neighbors. And I talked to her. She's a realtor as well. And she was like, you do need to call just to get them to stop cutting your bush down and to stay off that hill. And I was like, okay. So I ended up calling the police, which I didn't want to do. So I spoke to the police all of maybe 5 minutes to explain to her what was going on. She goes up there, and she just pretty much told me, y'all got to get a survey. And I was like, I get it. I know. We're in the works of doing that. And then she talked to them, and then that's when, they were sitting there saying 10 feet of our backyard is theirs, and 10 feet, y'all. Not 10 inches, 10 feet. But while the police was talking to her, the HOA president came by, and I stopped her, and I was like, look, we are going to get a privacy fence, and we're going to have to get some other type of railing fence or something to put down for our boundary. And I was just letting her know because they have to approve this, right? Because we're an HOA. Even though we already have a fence, we wanted to move the fence up to past a window that's in the back side of the house. And so the police just told her, without a survey, you need to leave everything alone and don't speak to one another. And I'm like, that's great with me because I don't want to talk to her. And she told the police, yeah, we've got survey things coming and we're going to walk the property. And the police officer was like, that's not a legal survey. You're more than welcome. I can't tell you you can't do that, but it's not going to be legal. And you cannot just put up stakes saying that this is your thing because you've got whatever. You got to get a legal survey done in order for, So I went last Friday, got the survey. Hopefully he'll be here next week. I'm kind of I want her to be here, but I don't want her to be here. I want her to be here just so that she can see that it is a surveyor, not us, but an actual certified surveyor doing the survey. Because if not, if he just does it and leaves and she comes home, she's going to probably think we just did it. So that's going to be another pain. But I also don't want her to be here because I know she's going to harass him the entire time he's doing it. And I don't want him to have to go through that. But the place that we went to, you know, they assured us he's used to dealing with people and that he's been doing it for decades. So he's had his fair share of crazy. And I was like, dudes, I thought I had too, but this lady takes the cake. Never. In my life. We went walking the other night, me and Barry, and neighbors stopped us and was like, oh, what, you know, asking what was happening. And I really didn't want to talk about it because I'm trying not to think about it. But one of them even pulled up, because you can pull it up on your phone, the property lines, the aerial view. And he was like, what is she even talking about? I said, I don't know. That's the frustrating part. Everybody else can see the just straight lines and where our property actually comes to, which is up to their driveway almost. And even on the plat, you can see that our property goes a little bit past the fire hydrant that's across the street, and it goes several feet from the manhole that is in front of our yard. I mean, so you can look at the plat even without looking at an aerial view and see where our property actually goes to. And the fire hydrant actually goes about 2 feet into their driveway, past their driveway. But hopefully he'll be out next week, get that done, and then we'll get the fence put in. We talked with the HOA and they got together and they've approved it to be able to move, because we wanted to move it. And they were fine with that because it's not too far from the house. And so that is where we're at. And that has been taking a lot of my time mentally and physically too, having to go places and all this kind of stuff. So that is why I've not been posting much. And I am speaking softly because I'm out in my studio, which is my garage. And, you know, even though there's walls, it's not as insulated as the house is, of course. She likes to eavesdrop on conversations. There's lots of things that she has done in this neighborhood, more than I knew. So it's not just us that is being affected by her. It's pretty much the whole neighborhood is being affected by her. And it's been pretty much hell. And it's been not fun. So, like I said, I've just not been in the mindset to create anything. I thought I was the other day with the house. I got it sketched out, but I'm like, man, that's all I can do right now. Because the next step is color, and I kind of know what I want to do, but my mind cannot stay focused is what the problem is. It just starts going into a million different places. I have a cool video that I want to do with some terracotta pots, make mushrooms out of them, and a fairy house. And I can't even do that because I can't even focus long enough to do that. So, I mean, I'm even to the point where I don't even want to play D&D anymore because I can't concentrate on campaigns and stuff. So it's really affected my life a lot. I've never had to go through something like this ever in my life, and it's been torturous, and it's been hell. It really has been. But hopefully, again, hopefully in 2 weeks, this will be over. The saddest thing is I'm having to take down my fence, my vinyl chain link fence that's got my jasmine growing on it. I've been growing it for 12 years. The goal was to have it come all the way down to be a natural fence, and I'm going to have to take it down and start over. Luckily, jasmine's hardy, and it should spring back, but not like what it is. It took, dozens of years for it to look the way it is. So I'm upset about that. I think that's what hurts me the most, and her cutting down my bush. That really, 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 really hurt me. I felt like crying, but I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of that. And because this is all she's wanting a reaction from me because I have never spoke to her. Because when they first moved in, Phoebe was a puppy. She was like not even a year old when they moved in. She was like 9 months old. And, Barry spoke with them, but I have social anxiety to begin with, and I don't speak to people. It took me a very long time to even speak to our other neighbors. If you have social anxiety, you understand. So I just kept to myself. And Phoebe was out. Her dogs came out, was aggressive at the fence like they do. And Phoebe, of course, came up. And so I was yelling at Phoebe, trying to get her attention, literally yelling, because, sometimes with dogs, when they're like that, you have to do something to break that. So I was yelling at her, and she told me to be quiet. And that was the beginning of me being quiet to her. So after that, because I knew myself well enough, like, you totally just disrespected me so much. I'm not going to ever speak to you. I have no need. No need. And so that was the big issue, is I never spoke to her because she keeps mentioning that over and over to me, to the HOA president, to the police officer. And I knew after dealing with them about the Hill situation on Mother's Day that that was her issue. Was she's, I have my thoughts of what mental disorder she has, and not speaking to this type of people really irks them, and they do anything to get any kind of reaction from you. And so when she cut down my bush, it was totally to get a reaction from me. Totally. So yeah, I called the police on her instead, because I will not speak to her ever about anything ever again, at all. So it's just been very difficult month. May is already bad enough. Sasha died in May, and then my father's birthday is in May. My mom and dad's anniversary would have been in May, and so May's already a tough month. And then for all this insanity, for the window being knocked out, which she knew about because we had an HOA meeting the next day and I mentioned it. So she knew about that. She even came out when the police, when all of this mess was going on. So she knew that our window got kicked in. And then she wants to start this mess. That's just the type of person she is. She's, if y'all know, you know. If you know, you know. If you've ever had to deal with a type of person like this, you know what she is. So, it's just been awful. So hopefully though, by the mid of June, I'll feel better once we get the privacy fence up. So, even just look, I don't even have my blinds up anymore, because if I even catch a glimpse of her, my heart starts racing. If I see her car in the driveway, my heart starts racing because I know she's at home and I'm just waiting for the next shoe to drop. It's been awful. So I cannot wait for the fence to get put in at all. And then we're going to do some type of a fencing to put the rest of on the hill. I'm planning on putting big boulders on the hill, and we do have some rock border coming to put on our, just so that they know, hey, this is where the boundary is. And it will be up to their driveway. And we try to tell them that. But either way you go, a lot of people were like, her mailbox is in your yard. And I was like, well, if it wasn't in the easement, yes, it would be definitely in our yard. Definitely, yes. Her water meter definitely is in our yard, yes. But it's in the easement part that the county technically owns. They own, like 10 feet of your front of your yard or something. I don't know, but technically it's in the easement. So, but I'm not going to be like, y'all got to move your mailbox, get it out of here, blah, blah, blah. Because our property line is not going to go that far. You know what I mean? So he'll be out in one part of, I think I've already talked about that, how I want her to be here but not be here. But it's just, y'all pray for me. just pray for me. Pray that this be over very quickly and, you know, just over with, because it's just exhausting. It's exhausting to worry about this day and night. So, and I hate that I'm even giving her that much of my energy. She's, you know, not worth it. But hopefully it'll be all over soon and I can get back out here, finish my oil painting, do my terracotta plants, get back to my YouTube channel, which I missed. But y'all, I would have been a nervous wreck. It would have taken me forever to do a video because I would have been all over the place. I would not have been able to concentrate. So, but anyway, so that is what's going on. That's the big update. And thanks for letting me just ramble on about it. It does help to talk about it. That's another reason I try not to talk about it, but it helps. I feel like I have PTSD at this point. And I just feel like I just need to talk about this trauma that has happened because it's very traumatic. I've never had to deal with somebody who is not in reality. And you know not to argue with them because they're not in reality. It's a very weird thing. It's very strange. You know, like, you know not to argue because there's no need because they're never going to see reality. So, but I don't get him because he seemed to be willing to listen and all of that. And of course, you know, she's his husband, whatever. She's his wife. So he's going to take her side. And, but for him to think that even 10 foot of our yard, 10 foot, y'all. Our yard is 70 foot. Our backyard is 70 foot. Our front yard is 72. And she knew all that. Her front yard is 55. And I'm like, where's your yard going to go? No. And the back of her yard is 100. But because of the flare. So that's why they think, because, okay, the person that put in their fence wasn't a company. It was the guy that first owned the house. There's been 2 owners of this house. The first was actually a woman, and then her boyfriend moved in, then they got married. He put up the other side of their yard fence, but he just did it straight because he did it. He didn't have the company come out. Him and her father put it in. So he just did a straight line, not up on the hill, because they own the hill too. It's like all hills. The land. I can go on about the contractor and how he landscaped this neighborhood, but I will not. But he didn't want to go up on the hill because it was more difficult, so he just went a straight line, and he didn't flare it out. So that side is 10 foot probably, because she did mention your fence is 10. He even showed me, you've got 10 foot of my yard from your fence. Not me, your other neighbor, because he just let it go. He didn't flare it out. So that's where the extra 10 feet is over on their right side, not their left. And I don't know how she's gotten it flipped, but in her head it is, and in her head no one can tell her differently. That's what I even told the previous owner when I was talking to her on the phone. I said, because she was like, I'll try to have the realtor talk to her. I said, thank you. I said, it might help. I said, but she is so adamant, though, that she's got it in her head that it is what it is, and nobody can tell her differently. And that's another thing I'm afraid of with the survey. It's why I want her there, so she can see the surveyor actually walking the property, actually doing it. And therefore, there's no doubt about it. Because I'm afraid if she's not there and it gets done, she'll come home and think Barry and I did it. So we're videotaping it, by the way. We're going to videotape him doing it, so we have proof that it was an actual contracted, licensed surveyor to come out and do it. Even though we'll have paperwork to say it was, but at least we'll have video evidence, because the police officer did tell her once the survey is done, if you cross over that line, they can't arrest you for criminal trespass. And we will. We'll call the police and charge her with it, because I think that's the only thing that might be able to bring her back to reality a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, we'll definitely do that if she crosses over the line. So, I mean, this all sucks. It all sucks. We've lived here 25 years and have lived in a peaceful neighborhood. My studio has always been my sanctuary, but so my backyard has been too. Just a place for me to go and chill. And she's taken that away. She's taken my backyard away from me, and I just can't wait for the fence to be put up and just have this over. So I've been rambling for 22 minutes. The air conditioner's coming on, so more noise. So I'm going to let you go, but again, I appreciate it. If you pray, please pray for us. Keep us in your thoughts, good juju, all of that stuff while we're trying to deal with this. And hopefully the next video that I will be posting is an art video, hopefully. So thank y'all so much for hanging with me, and I appreciate it. All right, y'all, I'll talk to you later. Y'all be good to one another. Bye.